looking ahead, this is going to be a tough week. I'm not going to lie. Daytona, last race of the regular season. There's storylines for storylines. Professor, how do you even predict what I consider is unpredictable? Now, look, before I start this, I've heard it's a roulette wheel. I've heard all this stuff. That's BS. There are drivers that are better at it than others. The difference is, normally, you control the opportunity of your car solely by yourself. You have to have help to be fast at Daytona. 2 cars are faster than 1. And you have to avoid everybody else's oops. And there's going to be a whole bunch of them. So with that said, let's hear it there, wise one.
Well, like you said, this is so hard to predict. So, some guys have good finishes, but then they have that many bad finishes. So it's like taking all those averages into account is tough. But if you look at the predictor, usually we have, 20 points separating, first through fifth, let's say on the predictor. Now we have 20 points separate first through 20th. It's so tightly grouped together this week because of it being a speedway drafting race.
So let's talk. How the predictor works is a whole bunch of math in the background with a whole bunch of values and all this private stuff that the professor's not going to share because it's his magic sauce and he doesn't have to, but it gives you a score. Those are the points you're talking about, right? Like, for instance, Denny's score is 123.8. It's an abstract number. It doesn't mean anything. But normally, like last week, Chase Elliott was a 20-point favorite over second. Currently, if I go down 20 points, I have to get to Eric Jones in 19th to find a guy 20 points behind on your predictor. That's how much closer it is than normal weeks.
Correct.
Well, I feel like this is a non-predictor week then, unless somebody tells me any different.
Well, I think we can still use it for a guide, but it's just these races are just so hard to predict.
Well, then normally we go through the predictor, but I'll give it to you. We have, I don't know, we'll call it 5 tiers. Tier 1 is 8 drivers. The next tier is half the field. It is very, very difficult. So before we get too far into this, Chuck, let's just talk your betting strategy when you go to the speedways. How do you do it? Like, do you say, hey, take a few flyers, or like, what do you think?
Well, if you remember back to the first Daytona,
I've already blanked that one out when we mixed Ricky Stenhouse.
Me too. Yeah, and we relied too much on. We didn't put enough with the chaos factor in there.
Yep.
We really got drilled. I mean,
it was by far the worst week, right? Daytona
first week we lost 23 units.
To win kick off the season.
Hasn't come close to losing that.
Yeah, right.
So, I don't know this time. And I think this is even going to be more chaotic than the first one because you've got guys that are last-ditch effort, going to throw it in there, and Austin Dillon wins. Like last year,
right. Last year they all were in the rain and Austin Dillon. So let's talk about where it is in the schedule. It's race 26. It's the last race of the regular season. It sets the playoff field. Currently, Bubba Wallace is in on points. He's the only spot available. The other 15 are set. Of every driver who is not in the playoff field, the professor's going to be so happy because this is his stat. There are 7 drivers not locked in that have won in their career at Daytona or Talladega.
Wow.
So when you say, when it was like, well, how locked is it? It's totally wide open. When they moved this to be the regular season finale, it was genius. Because as a TV guy going to Richmond or going to Michigan, you hoped you had a points battle. Because it's pretty hard to make a case for a guy that hasn't won and he's outside the points that he's going to pop up and win. But going to Daytona, I mean, look, I can go down the list. Let's talk about it, right? Who's not in that could win here? Suarez, sure. He's never won at a super speedway, only at Sonoma, but you're telling me he's not good enough to win at Daytona? Absolutely. Dillon did it a year ago. Cindric's won the Daytona 500. Almirola's won at Daytona. Like, I can go through the list. So to your point, there's a ton on the line where kind of must wins. Like there might be some more desperate moves than normal.
How many guys have a point eligible to get in besides Bubba?
Mathematically 2 maybe, but 1 really.
Harvick?
No, Harvick's locked in with Keselowski.
Oh, that's right.
So Bubba's the last guy in, or the only guy available to move, and right behind him is Ty Gibbs, and right behind Ty Gibbs is who, Professor? Suarez?
It's 32 for Gibbs, 43 for Suarez, and then after that, everyone else is mathematically they have to win.
So here's how it works. You can score 60 points, but the only way to score 60 points is to win the race. You can score 55 points and not win the race. That's the deal. When you take green flag, you get a point. because the last 5 cars or whatever get 1 point. This is how the math works. So you can make up 54 points. So anybody within 54 gets in. So 43 is mathematically there, but you're talking about, remember, 20 of those 55 are in the stages.
Right.
So like when everybody's like talking around, I'm talking, you have to have a monster day. You're talking like top 3 in the stage, and top 3 in the race to get there. I don't think Ty Gibbs has scored 32 points this year. That's not a knock. I'm just like to put it in perspective.
Yeah.
I don't think Ty Gibbs has had a week where he scored 32. What did he just score at the Glen? He might have got 32 at the Glen.
He had 47 at the Glen.
He scored 47 points at the Glen. Okay, so that was a monster day,
Yep.
top 5 in each stage,
Yep.
47 points, right? So you need Bubba to wreck.
4
you
times
get 1 or
this
2
year.
points. Huh?
And-
What's that, Professor?
4 times this year he scored that many points.
4 times he scored that many points. And then on top of that, you have
Bubba's
to
got
have
to be
Bubba
out
has
in the first stage.
has to
pretty
have a
much.
wreck.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying it's not possible. If you want my opinion as an analyst, no one's getting in on points. The only chance Bubba Wallace is not in the playoffs is if somebody behind him wins the race. I figure Alex Bowman or Bubba is going to pass Chase off turn 4 to eliminate him, and that's NASCAR storyline 101. I mean, why not, right? Isn't that the sort of things we go? Racing fans, hit the gas on nonstop action. Add DraftKings Sportsbook to your race day lineup and level up the thrill of every lap. Bet on your favorite drivers for a shot at taking home major cash. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make sure to check out our DraftKings 5 bets to watch each week. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code DMD. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code DMD. All right, so the predictor, we're not going to waste a lot of time in. Listen, if you're doing daily fantasy, look, it's.
I would take the higher odd guys because it's kind of a coin flip, really.
So in my
at the
opinion,
end.
if I'm daily fantasy player, we don't talk a lot of daily fantasy.
Right.
I would take guys that are starting in the back just for passing points, because normally if someone qualifies in the back, like they're not as fast, so they may not go to the front.
Yeah.
But the point here is if a guy qualifies in, like I wouldn't take a Elliott or a Byron or a Larson in daily fantasy because I think they're all going to qualify pretty good, right, Professor? Aren't they like monster qualifiers still?
Yeah.
Isn't Bowman the pole
All the
winner every
Hendrick
year?
cars qualify so well down there that makes them really hard to take in daily fantasy. So let's talk betting. We do have qualifying odds. Professor, you want to talk qualifying?
Sure, it's going to be a Chevrolet.
That's what I thought you would tell me. So the favorites on qualifying is Larson, Bowman, Elliott's at 850, Byron's at 700. Are you willing to say it's going to be a Hendrick Chevrolet?
I would say it's a Hendrick Chevrolet.
Well, if you're willing to make a statement of that much authority, Larson at 450 is the favorite. I'm trying to find them all.
Where's Bowman?
That's what I'm looking for.
Better scroll down.
Bowman is 600.
450, 600, 700, and 850. So they're all over 4-1. If you're confident that it's a Hendrick Chevrolet, then there you go.
I honestly almost like betting that better than the race.
Say that again?
I almost like betting that than the race.
I see your point. Because,
put for win.
that has nothing to do with anything, but that is your
One-
car and only your car.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Professor.
8 of the last 9 times we qualified there was a Hendrick car on the pole.
Right.
So,
And
do
look-
you take all of them?
Yeah, look at the odds to win. Elliott plus 850 to win the pole, plus 1,000 to win the race.
Yeah, you're not going to bet to win the race. There's no chance.
I mean, I would.
Can I make one suggestion? I would have a Ricky Stenhouse bet just out of principle.
Oh, I already bet that 12 weeks ago.
I mean, listen, just we haven't seen a repeat a long time in Daytona. It's been a long time. But you can't. It was bad. If you missed him a second time, I think we'd have to cancel the pod. I think we'd have to go off the air. So we can't just out of principle. All right, so I didn't think we were going to get a qualifying discussion. So 8 of the last 9's been a Hendrick Chevrolet. Larson's a favorite at 450. Elliott at 850.
And actually, Larson is now at plus 500. So
Ooh.
helps out a little more.
All right. Take a Hendrick Chevrolet. Take all 4 of them. I don't care. Hendrick Chevrolet for the poll. There you go. There's your nugget of the day. Anything on the predictor, Professor, before we move on? The reason I don't want to waste time on the predictor is because I'm going to grind on these head-to-heads or top 10 standard stats separate of the predictor.
Yeah, the only other stat that I would say that sticks out to me is that the summer Daytona winner got their first win of the season for the last 5 races there.
So if that continues, that would be a new player in the playoffs, unless it's Bubba.
Yep.
And Toyota's not won a drafting race yet in the next gen car.
Ofer. Which is pretty amazing to think they have Hamlin, who is a drafting machine. Bubba, I'm going to give Bubba credit. People can pick on Bubba. Some guys don't like Bubba, but he seems to always be right there in the picture.
Oh, yeah.
When he's drafting tracks.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk win odds real quick because, I don't know what to tell you. The favorite's at 10-1. I think, is there any way you would take, you have to take a flyer if you take a flyer, right, Professor? I mean, you ain't. Let's talk about what a real flyer would be. Let's do it this way for our listeners.
How about Austin Hill?
So listen, he's so good on Saturday, and everybody.
This is
says
Saturday
that
this
62, week. Yeah, good point. He said it's a 62 car and it's an RCR car, but it hasn't worked. What's his best run in the 62? Not good. I can't get there.
Even on a drafting track, though, I mean, he dominates.
That's where the only times he runs them.
Oh,
I think what happens with these entries are, pit road mistake, you lose a lap, mechanical issue. They just don't
put themselves in position.
Right. I mean, so when I say a flyer starting at the bottom, I'm getting ready to Rick Allen all these guys. McLeod, Yaley, Poole, Ty Dillon, Smith, Herbst, Hill. I mean, I can't connect the dots.
How about
on
Gilliland
those
in
guys.
that Ford?
So it's funny. I say Gilliland. I said Gilliland for top 10. Let's talk Todd Gilliland. I had Todd Gilliland. He has 2 top 10s. He drives at front row. They've got would that not be a Cinderella story? That they get McDowell and Gilliland in? They have as many cars in as Hendrick Motorsports? Think about that. If Todd Gilliland won this race, then front row and Hendrick Motorsports have the same amount of cars in. Then front row has 1 more car in than RCR.
Wow.
That would be a story of a story. Let's talk Todd Gilliland's numbers because, once again, if you're just tuning in, predictor, pretty close. He's plus 230 for a top 10. The top 10s are really low all the way up. Give me Gilliland's numbers in the next gen car.
He's been top 10 in 2 of the last 5 drafting races.
Take Atlanta out.
Okay, then he's been top 10 in 2 of the last 3 drafting races.
There you go. I say take Atlanta out just because, I don't know. I know they draft, but I'm still not convinced it falls in this bucket. It's kind of like a oddball. It's kind of like a Augusta.
Yeah,
Doesn't really fit like anything else. All right, there you go. At plus 230, 2 of the last 3, 60-1 to win the race. If you're going to take a flyer, a win would be a flyer. But I know you're super non-top 10. Chop is top 10. He's not happy with the top 10s.
Yeah. They're dead to me.
I'm looking at. There's just no. He's
Corey?
65-1 to win the race. Corey's 45-1 to win the race. He's having a monster year. Does Spire's monster year continue?
160 top 10? That doesn't seem like enough.
No, I wouldn't take a top 10 at 160. I tell you the top 10 I would take.
Harvick?
No, you're gonna laugh, but you can laugh.
Yeah.
That's the top 10 I would take.
Wow.
Say it. I'm going to let you put it on the air for everyone. What did I highlight on the sheet?
J.J. Yaley.
Top 10.
Top 10.
I'm going to say it.
Top 10 and to finish the race.
Yep. I'm going to say it as clear as I could say. It's a plus 750. If 27 cars finish the race, he's not going to be in the top 10. So back to what's on the line. Let's talk about stage finishes. 6th to 12th in the regular season points are separated by 14 points. As you move up the regular season standings, you get more playoff points. So follow me here. Mm-hmm. It's a little convoluted, but follow me. So all the big names, everybody that's in the playoffs, have major ground to gain this week. Because if you go up the standings, you get more playoff points. They carry on to the playoffs. You could have a good day, gain 5 more playoff points. That's like winning a race. That is a huge advantage. So I say this because I think that when you see 3 to go in the stage, it's going to be on.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we're in the playoffs. Like, this has to be a monster points day, or it ain't going to matter. There's a playoff point for winning the stage. I think what I mean by that is you could very easily have a huge wreck. Now, if J.J. Yaley is anywhere near that wreck, shame on him. He should be like, oh, I got nothing to gain here. You boys go get it.